morning, good morning, good morning. My name is LouAnn and welcome to my kitchen. That coffee is brewing and you know there's some sweet iced tea in that ice box. Well, today's video, this recipe is not a slow cooker recipe, but I'm going to make it a slow cooker recipe. And I may or may not, some weeks only have one video, some weeks have two. It depends on what is going on in my life in the background, which, my mama is in rehab, and so I do go see her and go check on her house and all that stuff like that. So, just a FYI. So, let me turn the camera around and, of course, show you which cookbook this recipe is out of. Let me turn the camera around. Let me show you how to make. I forgot what the name of this recipe. It's a beef stew, but I'm not using beef. This recipe doesn't have carrots in it, but I'm going to add some chopped carrots besides 2 chopped onions. I did call for 4 onions. I'm only putting 2. So I'm going to chop up these carrots and then I'll be with you for the next step. So the first thing we need to do is get out a heavy bottom pot. Like I said, I'm going to cook this in the crock pot. I'm heating up a third cup of vegetable oil, and I'm going to add my onions and my carrots, and we're going to get those browned a little bit. Then I'm going to throw these in the crock pot. So hang on a second. Recipe says we need to brown these onions. So I'll do as much as I can here. I might take some of these out and leave them like that and then brown the rest. So I'm going to do that real quick, throw them in the crock pot, and I'll be right back. Now we add our deer meat, a pound that has been cubed, and I didn't cube it, but we need to brown this. Oh, hard to get this moving, so now we need to brown this deer meat, and then we will be putting it in the crock pot, of course, salt and pepper, and we're going to add some spices to it. So now we need to add more spices. I've already added salt and pepper to taste. I am adding a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of caraway seeds, a teaspoon of marjoram. So I'm going to add that to there, and then since I'm going to cook this in the crock pot, I'm going to add one more ingredient, and that is deer broth. And then I'm going to add all this to the crock pot and let it cook. If you wasn't cooking in the crock pot, we wouldn't add the deer broth. That's just my addition, or the carrots. And we would lower it down and let it simmer cook it a little bit, and then add some vinegar and some flour, and what was the other thing? Oh, and tomato paste, which I will be adding those 3 ingredients later. But then after we add those last 3 ingredients I named, we would be letting it simmer for an hour and a half. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cook it in the crock pot. I'm making this a slow cooker recipe, so I'm going to transfer this to my slow cooker. So now I'm going to let this cook for about 5 hours, 6 hours, somewhere in there, at least until hubby gets home. And then I may or may not add something else to this. This is, I can't pronounce it. It's a goulash, so we'll see how that is. And yeah, I think I'm gonna add a side dish to that. Which will be, the recipe will be on my other channel. So, or maybe this channel. It may be appearing next Friday. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. So, Here we go.